And here is a very good example just showing you what has happened. So this is a condo called the Post Condos, and these condos are still actually available. And what the builder originally did was when they launched in 22 and 23, you can see that they were at $1,089 a square foot. But they just released the September 15th pricing, and you can see they dropped to $675 a square foot, which is actually insane. So I'm watching this to see how many investors are actually interested in buying at this price, because if we do the math right here, 675 minus 1089 divided by 1089, they dropped it by 40% almost, 40%. This is a similar strategy to what this developer in Surrey did, where they did a condo day, quote unquote, and they cut the prices by 25%. And they sold like 100 plus condos in that one day. And when you look deeper into this, like I remember pre-construction back in like 2017, 2018 was around this price. You're getting one bedroom, 500 square feet for 350. Your 1+1 is about 550, a little bit small side, but you're like also 350. And you're getting into your 2 bedrooms in like the 460s right now. So if investors start buying this product, then this tells me that there is some appetite at these price points. Again, I don't know what the absorption is right now, but I'm going to be monitoring it because this is a very good barometer of where pre-construction investors are and whether they're going to actually buy some of this product. Toronto condo prices have crashed back to $350,000. We haven't seen these numbers since 2019, but let's face it, buyers and investors are still not ready to jump back in. They want prices to fall even further. So how low will prices have to go? And more importantly, when and where will the real opportunities show up? So stick around because I'll be breaking all this down for you. Hi, my name is Zen, and if you're enjoying my data-driven and number-crunching real estate updates, be sure to like and subscribe. Toronto pre-construction condos are still too pricey for investors, which we already knew, and people are not buying them. But builders are adjusting these prices right now, which I'm about to show you. But the more interesting article right now is that a lot of us who are in the field are seeing prices for condos revert back to 2019 levels. In fact, I'm actually seeing some condos revert back to 2018 levels. So the idea of a $350,000 condo is returning to the market. So it is true to a certain extent. So I want to go deeper into this and kind of see and show you what's available if you're in the market for a $350,000 condo. And spoiler, I probably wouldn't buy them right now either. So when I go through my back end, this is what you're seeing right now. I am looking for anything that has sold for sub 350,000 in the CO1 or CO8 area, which is basically just this pocket right here, effectively the downtown, South of Bloor, between the Don Valley, Dufferin, and the water. And you can see over here that we have exactly 18 properties that have sold 350. But when I put it into this, which is what we normally use for our clients, you can see that, yes, a lot of these properties have actually sold for sub 350, 18 of them. Now, because I know the addresses for a lot of these condos, when I immediately look at them, I'm like, well, I probably wouldn't buy these condos to begin with, right? Even no matter how bad the price is. And there's a couple condos in here where I've got a legal letter saying that, hey, don't talk smack about my condo. So I'll leave it at that. But when I look at your sold price per square foot, you can see we are mostly sub $1,000 a square foot right now, which is actually very nice. Now I put the average over here for you, which is 836. And this is actually fairly low because we're only talking about downtown. If I were to take all the condos in Toronto, it will probably actually be a little bit lower because there is a premium attached to downtown condos. But you can also see right now, some of these condos are bachelors, but they do make sense for some people to buy at 350. And let me just show you what those people may be thinking about right now. Because when I break down these numbers as a cost to carry them on each and every single property, again, this is what we show our investor clients, you can see that right now when we do a 30-year mortgage, assuming 20% down payment because it's an investment property, and you get like 4.25 interest rate right now, which again, may be a bit lower in the future, you're looking at a carry of about $1,900 a month. So when you put in rent between bachelors and one bedrooms, that generally ranges somewhere between $17,000 to $2,000 right now, depending on the building and how large the unit is. And you can see as I go through these 18 properties, only one of them, which is highlighted in red, is above $2,000 because it's a high maintenance building. But most of them are like sub 2,000. So we're getting close to call it that break even cash flow component. And it still may make sense for some people to buy this because when you look at the current interest rates right now, you can see that every single month, this is how much the lowest amount of principal you'd be repaying back into. So on your $1,300 a month mortgage payment, 955 of that is interest and 382 of that is principal. So if I were looking at this and trying to sell you a condo right now, like specifically these, this would kind of be my rationale. It does make sense because prices are coming down, rates are coming down, but rents are also coming down. But my problem I go back to with all of these condos that we're seeing right now are most of them are not condos I would recommend buying in. We're in this market right now where you have so many choices right now. So why would you compromise for getting like a 6 out of 10? You should really go for the 10 out of 10 because the long-term potential of the property is going to be dependent on how the quality of that project and the condo and the developer and the location are. And I would say most of these are compromises. So you shouldn't be buying any of these anyways. That's my professional opinion. But there are obviously more options out there that are a little bit more expensive, but there could be more room to come down. Quick sidebar, if you're buying but not sure where to start or what's even a good deal, just hit the link in the description below, tell me what you're looking at and I'll break it all down for you. No fluff, no BS, just real talk from a human and not just another chatbot. So when we look at this chart, you can see that prices are continuing to come down, which is this little segment over here. So back in the peak of the market, so second quarter of 2022, prices peaked around like $900 a square foot for the entire resale condo. So right now we are at the 800. So in the last set of examples I showed you, we're around that same range is exactly what I told you. So I suspect, like I've been saying, we'll probably continue going down. And if you are going to be buying right now, you make sure you want to build in that buffer, whatever that may be, because it's not like when you hit the bottom says, hey, we're here, or it's the bottom, it's time to buy. You almost need to create your bottom. And when there's a lot of fear right now is the best time to negotiate. I've been saying this for some time. Now, looking at this chart, a lot of people who may own condos or think about buying a condo, maybe even for like their personal use right now, are wondering, hey, when are prices are actually going to rebound? Which is what this teal line is over here. So this is basically your sales to new listing ratio. In short, it's how many of these new listings that are condos are actually selling. So when prices were going up all the way to say 2022, you can see the sales to new listing ratio around the 55 to 75% mark. And 50, which is this red line I'm drawing for you right now, is basically a balanced market where prices should not be going up or down in theory. But you can see over here, we're at like 25% right now. So you need to effectively have sales double and listings not come back for price to actually be flat. So if you're trying to call it quote unquote time the market, I would say you're going to be okay somewhere around here, basically. And you just want to make sure you negotiate some wiggle room for that. So could we potentially still see condos maybe in the 300? Yeah, there's always a possibility. Now, the other side of this condo pricing is Toronto pre-construction prices are still too pricey for investors. But here's the interesting thing. When we look at this chart over here, you can see the blue line is the resale line, which is the price per square foot, which is shown over here on the left axis, which is the same line as the previous one I showed you. But then the teal line, which is this line over here, you can see it basically goes higher than the resale because at some point, like I was saying in 2016, a gap started being formed where you're paying a premium for quote unquote new build, but you're basically buying a contract buy. And at the height of the market, this gap got really, really, really big. But now you can see over here, it's starting to narrow. And a good way to basically look at that is look at these little bars over here and how much more of a premium there was. So at the height of the market, pre-construction was trading at almost 40%, if not more, than a resale market. And at some point, they were actually trading at a negative, which is in 2016. And you can see right here, the gap between new construction or pre-construction condos and resale condos is getting smaller and smaller. It is a byproduct of the price per square foot being lower and lower in resale, which in theory would make that gap bigger. But you can see in this line over here, the pre-construction prices, remember, which is controlled by the developer instead of multiple mom and pop owners, is coming down much faster. And here is a very good example just showing you what has happened. So this is a condo called the Post Condos, and these condos are still actually available. And what the builder originally did was when they launched in 22 and 23, you can see that they were at $1,089 a square foot. But they just released the September 15th pricing, and you can see they dropped to $675 a square foot, which is actually insane. So I'm watching this to see how many investors are actually interested in buying at this price, because if we do the math right here, 675 minus 1089 divided by 1089, they dropped it by 40% almost, 40%. This is a similar strategy to what this developer in Surrey did, where they did a condo day, quote unquote, and they cut the prices by 25%. And they sold like 100 plus condos in that one day. So when I look at this price list that they have right now, I'm looking at this, well, your cheapest condo is actually $350,000, which is comparable to resale. So if you look at the cheapest condo right now as a premium to what I showed you initially in, like, say, the downtown core, there's some justification that, this is probably a better product because it's also newer, even though the location may not be as great. But again, this could be a good building as opposed to some of the not so good buildings that sold for under $350 in the downtown core. And when you look deeper into this, like I remember pre-construction back in like 2017, 2018 was around this price. You're getting one bedroom, 500 square feet for 350. Your 1+1 is about 550, a little bit small side, but you're like also 350. And you're getting into your 2 bedrooms in like the 460s right now. So if investors start buying this product, then this tells me that there is some appetite at these price points. Again, I don't know what the absorption is right now, but I'm going to be monitoring it because this is a very good barometer of where pre-construction investors are and whether they're going to actually buy some of this product. Now, another interesting chart that came from this Urbanation report I wanted to share with you is this chart over here that talks about condo gains relative to affordability. It's kind of a mouthful, but let me explain to you how to read this. It's a little bit complicated. So when we're looking at this chart, the first thing we'll talk about is the total share of condos as a percentage of properties that have been sold, which represents this bar line over here. So if we were to look at the current situation right now, we are looking at about 27% of all sales are condos. So about, call it a quarter of all sales. So you imagine every 100 homes that sell in Toronto, 25 of them are condos, and the other 75 could be your freehold homes, such as your detached, semis, and your townhome, which, kind of makes sense right now. And the reason why, as the years have progressed, the bar lines have gone higher and higher is because we've created more condos and things are less affordable. So the most affordable property starts at a condo, as opposed to, say, in 2008, you can buy a home for like $600,000-$700,000. Now, the other thing to keep in mind over here is this teal line, which is represented by the right axis. So this talks about what a discount is on a condo relative to other homes. So right now, if we look at the current state of the market from July 2025, it's at 45%. So that means that your freehold home, say it's $1 million, your condo right now has a 45% discount. Or in the other way to look at it, your freehold home is $1 million, but your condo is $550,000 because $1 million minus the 45% discount, or 450, gets you to $550,000. So when you read this chart, the higher the green line over here, the better the deal the condo is right now. And you can see right now the condo deals are technically getting better from last year. Now, one of the main reasons why I'm showing this chart is I've been making a point in the last 2 years that it makes a lot of sense to basically upgrade from a condo to a freehold, because in a downwards market, the property that you're basically buying is coming down more in price as a percentage. And this chart illustrates this exact thing I've been trying to say. So as someone who's going from a condo to a freehold, you will want this green line over here as low as possible. So the best time to actually trade your condo in for a freehold property would have been in, say, 2019 or in 2011, which again, not many condos existed. And the reason for that is you want the discount on your condo to be as low as possible. And the reason we got to this point in 2019 was because condos, after the foreign buyer tax in 2017, continued to appreciate, but the freeholds depreciated, meaning they got less and less expensive. So that gap became smaller and smaller. And I've been saying in the last few years, the gap between a condo and freehold is getting bigger and bigger. And you can see this as a discount for your condo. It's increasing and increasing. And you do not want that if you're trying to upgrade from a condo to a freehold. Now, on the flip side, if you're a first-time buyer and you're restricted to a budget that only allows you to buy a condo, you would want this teal line to be as high as possible, because the higher it is, the relative price for that condo is going to be coming down. So when you're looking at this chart, you have to ask yourself what you're trying to accomplish in the Toronto real estate market and where you are, because depending on where you are, a good market or a bad market could be good or bad for you. Hey, it's me interrupting myself. Ready to make a move? Just one free call, no hassle, but decades of experience to work for you. So as you can see with this chart, it doesn't really matter where the market is, because some people can take advantage. And in this case, as the teal line is going up right now, it's favoring first-time buyers. But in another market, when, say, the teal line is going down, it would be favoring people who are upsizing from a condo to a freehold. And this is why you have to understand there is no good or bad market. It's just what works for you. And if you want a deeper dive or understand why this teal line is actually increasing, it's because detached homes have come down $170,000 in the last month, in the last set of data that came out. And to understand that, make sure you click on the video that's on the screen right now, and I'll see you in that video. Until next time, your move, your future. See ya.